Got it. All right. What would you or how or what you can play with how you want to answer it, but what would be one of your best success stories with one of the clients you work with?
Wow. Okay. Trying to choose now. It's difficult. Well, I think the most difficult job that I've done, it was quite short, but it was a guy that pulled weeds for a living. Now, it wasn't him pulling the weeds. He employed 150 people in the summer months to pull weeds from farmers' fields. Apparently, the weed killer's not good enough, and every few years they need to do a manual operation to get rid of the sturdy ones growing in the corner. So he was 0 hours contracts and pretty much minimum wage, and he employed whoever he could get, really. It was British people in the main, he said, rather than migrants. This is going back sort of pre-COVID and pre-Brexit. But the problem was getting him to come back the next day. So you've got a school leaver or somebody like that, a university student who's just spent 12 hours bent double in a field in the blazing sunshine with a bit of luck. It does happen sometimes. And will they come back the next day? So they were all asked, "Are you coming back the next day?" Because there was minibus pickup points to collect them and drive them to the fields. And of course, if someone says they're coming back and they don't turn up, then you're waiting for them. And whether they come back or not, you're losing time. And of course, if they don't come back, you've lost capacity. So the owner was having trouble with his capacity in terms of fields that he could clean, and therefore what he could say to a farmer, "I'll have that done by such and such a date." So he wanted to improve the return to work. And we didn't want to spend much money. This is East Anglia, after all, and they are notoriously tight, trust me. So we put together a gamification plan in two parts. One for the supervision, which was also 0 hours contracts, but not minimum wage, and one for the the staff. So we gave the supervision the authority, what do you want to call it, to appoint the best worker of the week or the month. I can't remember now, the week probably. And so if the supervisor thought that was the person that's really done all the effort, worked fast, etc., done a great job, then they were awarded a pay increment, and I think it was a gold jersey or something. I let him choose the colour. So, but a company jersey, so everyone can see that they were a star. But more than that, that they were allowed to keep that rate, that slightly higher rate, unless the supervisor said that really they weren't pulling their weight anymore, and they could do that after 3 months. So it's kind of reviewed every 3 months to make sure they were maintaining that level. And also the next season, the next year, if they came back, they would get that higher rate again. So it was kind of a bonus, I suppose. So that was the people. The teams of people also had the opportunity to appear in a photograph, and that's gamification, trust me. People like to appear in photographs. Okay, so the supervisor, the team, and this fantastically clean field with not a weed in sight. So the guy employed QA people to go around and check the fields, so they would take a photograph and move on. And as part of that clean field policy, if you like, the supervisor would be rewarded in two ways. One, if the pictures from the field showed that they'd done the best field that week, and they got a bottle of whiskey or something, or whatever it was, just as a thank you. But more than that, we put in place the opportunity to train these 0 hours contract supervisors and in supervision, because they were doing a real supervision job. I mean, up front and personal. I know you have different people doing yours, but and then write them a testimonial, a reference, so they could go and get a permanent job as a supervisor. So that was a real leg up that was missing before. So they had the chance to increase their pay as well if they were doing better than anybody else. So there were small pay increases, but more as we just said, 6 weeks and so what, but more of as a gamification type thing. We could pay them in Smarties, and that's the way it did. And he said it worked. So that sort of thing is it has to be done with the right delicacy. It's a bit like your partner saying, "How do I look in this?" So it's one of those questions, isn't it? You got to get the balance right. So, yeah. Which do you prefer, this or this? Oh God. So it's a real balance. It needs to be done without making it corny, and it needs to be done realistically, and it needs to be done in a spirit of team or I don't use tribe because somebody else has used it, but that's what it is really.
Got it. Okay.